Huzzah! Davidius, thank you very much for the 10-month resubscription. Very much appreciate that. 10 months down, 2 months to go until your set of wings. Absolutely. Afghanistan declared war on the Dominion of India after the Weltkrieg as the British Raj collapsed into turmoil and warfare. The neighbouring kingdom of Afghanistan took advantage of this as an opportunity to siege Peshawar and Quetta, both border regions of the Dominion. Black Monday. A massive breakdown has occurred yesterday in Berlin stock market. The German economy is in tatters and our economy is sure to follow. We must cut back on much of our spending and immediately look for ways to fix our economy. It could take many years to recover from this. Ouch! I think that's even more harsh than Black Monday. Dead economy. Minus 50% political power gain, minus 90% construction speed, and minus 90% factory output. Good grief. So float the mark. Dead economy to recovering economy, fiscal austerity. We'll be able to choose our budget in 1937, but we can use these to at least regain a little bit of control. And we need to do the 1938 budget to do that. Electoral gridlock in France. The Commune of France is the world's leading syndicalist nation, united as a federation of city communes and directed by the Comité de Salut Public, the chief executive. Looking forward to a CK3 Royal Court playthrough. Yeah, me too. There were... Yeah, Total War Warhammer 3 and CK3 Royal Court. And you know what? I was watching Saturn playing Expeditions Rome yesterday. That does look good. Poland declares the Republic. After several high-profile terror attacks in Poland and the near total collapse of their economy, a large group of high-ranking Polish officials have released a statement declaring the creation of a new Polish Republic. Is the old order fading? The Austrian Empire withdraws from Italy. It is clear that Black Monday has hit the Austrian Empire hard. The Austro-Hungarian Reichskriegsminister today announced that he was recalling divisions stationed in the Italian territory, unable to afford the financial burden of keeping them safe from the Socialist Republic of Italy. The DKAEB Railroad nears bankruptcy. The Deutsche Kaiserliche Abyssinian Eisenbahn Railway was established in the early 20th century, linking Addis Ababa in Ethiopia to Djibouti. After a series of German-backed expansions, it is now mainly to transport ore from the Congo Basin in Mittelafrika to Djibouti. The present economic downturn in the world has meant that the ore is no longer being purchased at the rate it once was, resulting in fewer transports to the DKAEB. The DKAEB is struggling financially, and some board members have approached the government in Dar es Salaam to sell their shares in our colony. Should we accept? So we can spend 25 political power to gain some more national populism. Or the Colonial Office must be consulted. So national populism would be fascism, basically. So we're going to consult the Colonial Office. The Colonial Office issues orders for the DKEB. The Colonial Office in Berlin has complied with our request for a decision, and they have instructed us to buy the shares being offered. They believe it is crucial to keep the railways running if we wish to maintain our links with Ethiopia, and tell us the rail line will eventually be profitable in the long run. Should we comply? Yeah, we'll do it. Very well, we will do what they wish. And we now have saved the DKAEB. So we need to have completed the Strategic Resources Export military reforms. Ethiopia needs to have done Southern Railway and military reforms. The illusion of the Qing hegemony shatters. The facade of Chinese unity, having held together for nearly a decade, has begun to crumble. Rising unrest in the League of Eight provinces, the economic shock of Black Monday, portending German retrenchment, and the inability of the national government to deliver a decisive response to either has made one thing clear. Beijing's monopoly on power is broken. It is the end of an era. So we need military reforms, we need strategic resource export. Where are those? Military reforms are here. And strategic resources exports here. So I guess we're going to start working on the 4-year plan. Now we have 365 days in which to do that. That'll be 70. Right, time to maths. Whoops, come on. 70 plus 56 plus 35 plus 35. Oh, we can easily do that. It's 196. So yes, we can do these two first. Oh, plus the military reforms is another 70. 266. We're still fine. Oh, that's true. That's export, not... No, it's export. That's right. It's the right one. Yeah, we want it to fail. If we hold out for 365 days, it's the way that the decisions work, then it goes bankrupt, whereas if it fails, so if we save it, then it's saved. And we get good things, hopefully. The League of Eight Provinces declared war on Left Commandang. Request for military access has been accepted by Ethiopia, so Ethiopia and us are chums. And Qingklik declared war on the League of Eight Provinces, and so it begins. Marshal Wu Haifu backs An Qing following the death of Marshal Sun Chonfang earlier this year and the subsequent collapse of Qing authority. Few expected the Imperial Minister of War Wu Haifu, the real power behind the throne in Beijing, to take overt military action. Now we just need to hope that Ethiopia also plays ball. Yep. We can't see what they're doing, so we don't know. It's a mystery. Right, I need to tell the Navy to go home. Save myself some oil. And possibly the Air Force too. In fact, yes, it looks like I need to send you home too. There we go. Now we're getting fuel again. Slowly. The Krivich Putsch. With Germany's economy shaken by the severe economic crisis. I've just realised that you need to move over there. There we go. The repercussions were quickly felt in the European hegemon's eastern satellites. White Ruthenia, a small and young nation, was soon rocked by instability after growing agitation from the radical leftist elements in the country. The army intervened and deposed the elected Social Democratic government. After a brief power struggle, the vacuum was filled by none other than Vaclav Estluski, leader of the National Populist Peasants' Party, or the Green Oak. So White Ruthenia is doing stuff. There is the new administration. Restoration of democracy in Australasia. The Australasian Confederation has grown under the authoritarian rule... has been under the authoritarian rule of Governor General William Birdwood since the British invocation of the Emergency Protocols 1924. Considered by many to have been a heavy-handed response to the Melbourne Syndicalist Commune uprising. Right, so we can't do any of these until we've had the 1938 thingy-mablobby. So I think what I'm going to do now is float the mark and start working on these. Start recovering our economy a little bit so we can at least get some construction going and some political power. Since 1921, our colony has printed its own currency, the African mark, which has been pegged to the German mark. By allowing our currency to float, we can reduce the price of our exports and return revenue to normal. The death of Pius XI. All of Christendom mourns the death of His Holiness Pope Pius XI, who died following a heart attack after having been in declining health over the past several years, something which rapidly worsened following Black Monday. Sylvia Pankhurst, elected chairman of the TUC. The 1936 Trade Union Congress in the Union of Britain was made out to be decisive. Long-time chairman of the TUC, Philip Snowden, declared his resignation, causing the four major factions of the Union, the Maximists, the Autonomists, the Federationalists, and the Congregationalists, to butt heads over the position. As the dust settled, Sylvia Pankhurst, the leader of the Congregationalists, was elected the new chairwoman. The First International Congress. Delegates from socialist nations and political movements around the world gathered in Paris today for the latest in a series of world congresses. While the mantle of the Third Internationale was taken up by the Communards after the Russian Civil War, the ideological tenor of the event promises to be very different. Free zone. Dominion of Canada and Afghanistan have made their peace. Electronic mechanical engineering. Let's go and get mechanical computing. Pius the XII, elected as the new Pope. Catholic faithful in Rome breathed a sigh of relief as the Sistine Chapel's chimney billowed forth white smoke, signifying the election of a new Pope. A short time later, it was announced that Pius and the popular Eugenio Cardinal Pacicelli had become His Holiness Pope Pius the XII. That the usual guy? Of course it is. The Kenyatta Sulphur Fair. Our administration has been watching with nervous anticipation the progression of the Kenyatta Sulphur Fair, in which the Kikuyu lawyer is leading a class action lawsuit against the former Statthalter Wilhelm Sulph. Fortunately, the defence lawyer Carl Schmidt produced a novel defence and established a new legal precedent. Sovereign is he who decides on the exception. The courts accepted this argument that the Statthalter is the sovereign authority in Africa and has the right to step outside normal legal proceedings. This obviously has startling implications, and some members of our administration already eagerly anticipate a sovereign Statthalter. The sovereign is he who decides on the exception. Populism goes up. Famine breaks out in Sichuan. The province of Sichuan has long struggled with famine. Rocky terrain and unpredictable weather kept population low until the early Qing era, when widespread land clearances and immigration incentives brought hordes of peasants to the province. In 1925, a lengthy drought turned into a devastating famine that ravaged the populace, leading to hundreds of thousands of deaths and millions of refugees. What will you do with Egypt? I have no idea. Does Goering have a leader bonus? No. Okay, the mark has been floated. Let's do fiscal austerity as well. Times are tough, and we must tighten our belts. It is time to introduce a pay cut to all Middle African employees. And now we have a preliminary budget, which will actually speed up construction, output, and political power even further. So then our two factories can do some production. Yeah, Equatorial Guinea is Spanish. And we are again gaining power. Not a lot, but we are gaining some. Fiscal austerity should be done fairly soon. Collapse of the United Baltic Duchy. The United Baltic Duchy, a Baltic German sub-state of the German Empire, is finally disintegrated after several months of inner strife and partisan resistance by the Forest Brothers movement. Across the duchy, any semblance of order has been lost, and the Baltic Germans flee their lands en masse. Basic machine tools is done. Then let's go ahead and grab concentrated industry. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Because the thing we have in our favour is lots and lots of manpower, so we're probably just going to do lots and lots of boots on the ground. So just make lots of guns. Mass assault. Left Kuomintang declared war on the Anqing clique. Fiscal austerity is finished. And then with that, we can start working on the 4-year plan, I think. Trouble is brewing in Europe and Asia. The syndicalists grow bolder every day, while our own military has become complacent. We must plan a timetable for our economy and military to ensure that we are ready to support the fatherland in any way possible. No, I'd rather do the economy ones first, because this means more factories. And our stability is pretty poor. Goering's reducing it. Of course he is. Actually, here's a question. What generals do we have? Oskar von Preußen, Goering, Junger, Kraut, Theodor von Hippel, Randau, Dessner, Schnorner, and Dwalabel. Goering is a logistics wizard. Junger, Fortress Buster, Engineer, War Hero, Infantry Officer. He's pretty good. Hippel, Brilliant Strategist, War Hero, Trickster, Commando, Camouflage Expert, and Guerrilla Fighter. Yeah, unfortunately, you've already taken 2 general traits, which makes you less useful as a Field Marshal. Despite the fact that you're a Brilliant Strategist, so I think we're just going to keep you in that position. Is this a mod? Yes, Trooper, it is. Manuel Carles assumes full control of Argentina. When Manuel Carles executed a coup against the Argentinian state on Christmas 1935, the nation was torn apart in a vicious struggle for control over the presidency. The LP and the forces of the Argentinian Navy quickly took control of the capital, but were stopped by forces of the army, who quickly began to assert their dominance over the entire nation. I don't know why that's appearing, because I can't actually change anything. And that is true. We have no divisions in training, and we probably could. Let's get those 4 going. They just require guns, right? Yeah, they have no support stuff whatsoever. And in fact, why am I producing artillery and support equipment? I don't use them. Just make me guns. Coup d'etat in Siam. News emerged from Bangkok today as a group of officers and intelligentsia, calling themselves the Khana Rastodon, or the People's Party, had successfully seized control of the government. Key government officials are under arrest, and the king and his heir are said to be safe and well looked after in the new government. Construction 1 is done. I think I'm going to go ahead of time for construction 2, although that's quite a long way ahead of time. Do it anyway. I need to get my industries up and running. We are rather bad at the moment. And we do start with 3 tech slots, which isn't terrible. Four-year plan is nearly finished. There it is. Alright, so we want to do the African breadbasket. Much of Africa has little in the way of agricultural development, but what we do have here is invested in cash crops suitable only for the tropics. The last Weltkrieg showed that Germany is vulnerable to its lack of foodstuffs, and so by focusing on staples such as corn and rice, rather than tobacco and pepper, we can help ensure victory. Yeah, that's Spain. As has been mentioned. Mongol aristocrats take Mongolia. Much like Tibet, news from the Mongolian capital, Urga, is sparse. For many years, the status quo of the nation has been the leadership of the Russian Baron Roman von Ungern-Sternberg. However, recently news came out that after a revolt in the west of the nation, the aristocratic princes, led by the Inner Mongolian prince Demchun Dongrum, overthrew Ungern-Sternberg while his army fought in the west. Union Sindicalista achieves Italian majority. The 5th Congress of the Socialist Republic of Italy has ended with the Union Sindicalista, led by Palmiro Togliatti, continuing his mandate by achieving a majority of seats in the government. Drone Heaven, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Good to have you joining us. German East Asia declared war in the Indo-Chinese Union. Meanwhile, League of Eight provinces still alive. They didn't get attacked by Shandong. That helps. Democracy shells Algiers. Massacre. Bloodbath. These words seem insufficient to describe the events that took place in Algiers, in which the battleship Democracy fired on the crowd. The day had begun with peaceful protests by the reformist forces, but somewhere a shot rang out. A voice cried out, a man lay dead. Protesters panicked, government forces lost all restraint, and in minutes guerrilla warfare was upon the capital in exile. When night fell, the regime was faced with possibility of a general uprising as soon as the news would travel. Such a prospect would be intolerable, and so the grim order was given. Tales of mangled bodies, summary executions, blurry photographs of the aftermath have filtered out of the Republic, but the French newspaper, titled Red Coup Bravely Defeated. Only one thing is certain, the Marshal's rule is now uncontested. May the Republic rise. Zveno coup in Bulgaria. What? They just bombarded their own city with a battleship. Crikey, France. The Tsardom of Bulgaria, one of Germany's allies in the Welsh Creek, has been the stable hegemon of the Balkans for the past 2 decades. In truth, however, the nation has withdrawn into internal affairs, going from political crisis to political crisis, and this year those internal tensions have culminated in a showdown between the 3 separate political forces. Zveno has come out on top, sweeping away the Tarnovo constitution with a sudden coup d'etat. This elitist circle of officers and intellectuals promises to establish a rational, efficient, autocratic system to guide Bulgaria in the following years. And we need to choose the strategic resources export. In the event of war, Mittelafrika must serve to feed the great German war machine. Expanding our production of strategic resources will ensure we can outproduce our enemies and strengthen the fatherland. Indochina declares independence. After the Welsh Creek, Germany seized French Indochina, but stability wasn't restored until Germany crushed the South China revolutionaries in 1926. Is there a referral code or something for Warhammer 3? If I'm buying it, I might as well throw it your way if possible. I don't have one, unfortunately, no. Unless you can get it through Humble. Humble's the only one I have. If Lionheart has a referral, then yeah, please do use his. Lionheart's cool. Hey Mordred, if possible, can you check if you can assign traits to your generals and or admirals? Yeah, check that. Oh, but no officer corps. So they haven't enabled the ministers. See if that's true for admirals as well. Yeah. So the military staff are preset. That's probably just because of the way they have that all balanced. And if you want to post a link to Lionheart's referral, please do. You have my permission. Jabal Shammar declared war on Najd and Hossa. Police shooting in Lusaka. A Makonde tribesman was shot by one of our police officers in Lusaka. The city is still in shock and the perpetrator, along with many supporters, is now being detained for investigation by the local police. It has been theorized that he acquired the weapons from across the border in Portugal's territories. So we now get border raids. We will collapse as stability reaches -40. Terrible. Strategic resources export is done, so the next focus we want to do is military reforms, and then we'll start looking into the stability issue. It is time to modernize our army for a new age of warfare. Kumal Khanate declared war on Xinjiang clique. When we moved into British territory in 1925, the British hold on the territory was dangerously weak after 7 years of warfare. In the same year, British strikes coincided with a series of protests by the natives in the British East Africa. The Church of Scotland mission declared the practice of female circumcision banned for Christians, labelling it as sexual mutilation of women. For the dominant ethnic group of the region, the Kikuyu, the practice, which they call Iura, is the conditio sine qua non, the whole teaching of tribal law religion. They felt so strongly about this that it caused a rupture within the Christian community in Kyukyu land. The Anglican Church quickly followed the Scottish Church in banning the practice, but the response in Kyukyu created their own African churches. They've established their own theological schools, which have become a hotbed of Kyuku nationalism. At the same time, with the fall of Britain to socialism, there is a schism within the Anglican and Scottish churches themselves. In Canterbury Cathedral, the Union of Britain has declared Archbishop John Hobbes Harris as the head of worldwide Anglican Communion, while in Ottawa, the British monarch has declared under his authority as the Supreme Governor of the Church of England, Archbishop Cosimo Gordon Lang to be the head of the Communion. The Scottish Kirk has seen a similar schism. It is impossible to tell for certain if any Anglican minister believes is the real head of the church, and they might be listening to Archbishop Harris, who is a campaigner against imperialism in Africa. So we can favour the Kyuku, which we're definitely not doing. We can favour the Anglicans, or we can suppress both and encourage the German secular schools. I'm pretty happy having more market liberalism, so we'll favour the Anglicans. It is, after all, just good business. Some divisions are ready to deploy, but I don't think... Well, yes, I do want to deploy them, actually. And I'm also going to tell... I don't really want to move here. Just deploy those. Right. Xinjiang clique erupts in war. It seems like the western gate from China to Central Asia is broken down into violence once again. Governor Jim Churan's recent dispute with Kumal has resulted in a large contingent of volunteer soldiers rising up against the army garrison. Rumours say that the Turks to the far west are also preparing to defy the governor once again. It does look like League of Eight Provinces is winning. I think they'll take out Anqing before too long, and then they just need to deal with the left Kuomintang. The death of Hulda Stumpf. Earlier today, the body of the American missionary Hulda Stumpf was discovered on a roadside ditch in the highlands of Kenya. Stumpf was an outspoken opponent of Kyuku practice of Irua. Her body is discovered to have been cut in the traditional Kyuku manner before she was murdered. Naturally, we suspect Kyuku religious extremists. You don't say. Alright, so how do I get rid of border raids? By ending the protectorates... But that just has border in it. An event path. Okay. I mean, we're in a position very soon... Oh no, we can't do worker rights. It doesn't exist. Monarchist restoration in Georgia. Sweet Georgia. Surprising news has come from Georgia. Ever since the small Caucasian republic was founded, the country has been dominated by the left-wing Social Democratic Party of Georgia, despite a steady decline in the party's electoral support. When Black Monday shook the country, however, dissatisfaction, increasing civil unrest forced the party to call an early election, the result of which proved a victory for the Conservative National Democratic Party. The new ruling party quickly moved to fulfill its campaign promise of a referendum to restore the monarchy. The results showed a clear victory for the monarchist side, leading Prince Joachim Franz Humbert, now Joachim I, to take the throne. Radicals win Serbian elections. Established in the end of 1925, the young Republic of Serbia has recently held the third national election in history. Between the Black Monday, renewed ethnic violence in Bulgaria, and creeping rumours of a shadow government in the military, the 1936 elections were made out to be the most contentious yet. Much like the 1926 elections, the victorious government is a grand coalition of the centre, but in the inversion of the original, the Conservative People's Radical Party has claimed the leading role over their progressive rivals in the Republican Party. Suppose it ends when you deal with the Portuguese at your borders. Yeah, possibly. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Greece has joined the Belgrade Pact. Due to the shared hatred for Bulgaria's growing power, Greece has decided to enter the Belgrade Pact with Serbia to take down Bulgaria once and for all. I think I'm going to start actually assigning a couple of commanders.